and present from council, all of council is present. We have Police Chief Warner, Fire Chief Klosik, Director Stelnick, we have CDO Ben, Service Director Robertino, City Engineer Deluch, and Finance Director Carolyn Chanel. We only have one item on the agenda. That's to discuss the proposed 2026 budget. So with that said, I'm going to turn the meeting over to our Finance Director, Carolyn Chanel.
Thank you. I believe that all of you have heard me talk about the budget in the past. I will tell you that the 2026 budget as of today is going to be a little different than the budget in the past. The funds are the funds. We are restricted by what we can use them for. All that's detailed here for you. Your legislation is here on pages 1 through 4. Last year I gave you a graph. This year I gave you some comparisons of 26 budget to the 25 budget. And if the budget at this time, not as it was amended throughout the year, the 26 budget versus the 25 actual, the 25 actual versus the 25 budget. But what I'm really here to tell you is that I have put a lot of time and effort into this, and we do have capital requests which are enclosed in your package. The one thing we don't have is we don't have any settlements with any of the Indians. The numbers that you're seeing here for payroll are the 25 paid for a fully staffed department. So for instance, if you were to check and look and see the actual of the police department versus of 25 versus the 26 budgeted, you might say, well, I'm increasing it over actual, but I'm not really. He wasn't fully staffed last year. He had his pluses and minuses and ups and downs, and if I kept all those people as I had planned on at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't be changing any of the dollar amounts for payroll, other than the standard, yeah, okay, I got longevity this year and I didn't have it last year concept. But there's no pay raises in any of these figures. None, until we know what the names are. We're negotiating with them, we've been negotiating with them. I cannot tell you where we're going to land. So these are 25 paid for a full department, as they were budgeted last year, full department. In my case, my wages went up, my longevity disappeared. I switched personnel. And you'll see that throughout this if you look at the payroll figures. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention is going to be, and I can go through all of these items, but there's key things I want you to be aware of. And that would be the revenue, which is your 13 to 16. It's your general fund. Your general fund, I apologize, it's 14 to 16. Your general fund supports all the other funds when they run out of money. For instance, the senior center has a grant, and there's a separate category for that grant, a separate fund in a 600 number. But that grant this year got cut from about 143 down to 90. So the general fund has to pick up the difference. So we have instances where the general fund does pick up differences. Those things you will see did change this year. And they're going to be in the general fund, and there'll be transfers for the general fund picking up more of the cost. When I come to the revenue, I want you to know that our income taxes are going to be down. Yes. 24 and 25, we lost one of our big manufacturers. We don't have anybody in that building yet. For 26, I have to anticipate that, however come summer turns out, it's not going to be what we were used to, whatever way it goes. You know, some concession of some kind is going to be made. So I have lowered our revenues for money, which we had last year, we don't, and I am keeping them pretty much flat for anything else, because they don't know. We do have some wonderful things on the horizon where they come, politics will come in June, will come in September, I don't know. So I'm anticipating better than what I budgeted, but I don't know that, because I only know about the two large corporations that were in our figures that hit us in the last 18 months, 24 months. Our intergovernmental, our local government funds is down. We made an agreement with the county, and we are still in that stage of decline. But I did put in some state money for our marijuana taxes. I've estimated that. I believe it to be a conservative estimate, but I have no idea, just because we received a single check. But I have put in money in there. As you go down through the rest of it, you'll see there are some, I consider them small changes, maybe to the building department with licenses and permits, if they do better, then we're ahead of the game. Charges for services again. You know, we lost a little bit rent from the library, so that impacted us. Franchise taxes, I anticipate that's always gone down a little bit, because people are using less and less cable, going more and more streaming, and that's that. Interest income, I have no idea where to throw that out. I know that our fund balance has declined, which meant reduced cash, which will impact our investment earnings, and I'm hoping that it outperforms where I'm at, but I have estimated it lower than last year. So all in all, our revenue is down on a budget basis, and I'm gonna be ecstatic on June, July, September, somewhere in there, when we start seeing all these things that we have been made aware of. Start to come in, they're going to only start to come in. And I don't know when, really, and I don't know to what extent. We've been told politics is bringing in all these jobs. How many day ones? How many days? 12. So those are the things we're wrestling with in this budget. It's the first time I really had to say, there's a lot I don't know about, and we're reporting back to on a regular basis, and the union contracts all have to be negotiated and agreed to. But this is what I have presented for you. So my budget that I'm presenting to you right now is my pretty much 25 budget with a large capital expenditure with a large transfer to the road. So if we get a large transfer to the CRIP fund because we need to do some work at the stadium, that would be removed. Those were the things I was dealing with on a big picture in this budget. Have I lost all of you or only some of you? Does anybody, do you understand where I'm headed with that? All right. If you look at the general fund budget numbers that I gave you, I can tell you that the original budget was 17 million. We changed it at the end of the year so it was 19 million. I can tell you that the city only spent 17 million. So the city does try very hard to stay within the budget and to preserve the funds that we have. I am asking this year for 16 million, almost 17. But again, we have some capital expenditures in there. I can tell you that budget to budget, it's actually better. Because you think if last year I came to you and asked for 17 and this year I'm asking for 16, it's a little better. But again, there's a lot of unknowns that will make changes. One of the things that I anticipate doing better this year than last year is our refund of city income taxes. We all know we got hit with some large ones last year. So I anticipate that to be better. The police department, we have had to increase it in general for software. So we pulled up the equipment that we bought, next gen software, but now we have continuous software costs, and we have body camera, and we have body camera software costs. So the software line for the police department has increased, but that's one of the new exceptions in this budget in terms of what we had to do in order to continue operating as we were in last year. There are some other small increases, like senior center, we had to put in the extra wages for her. That are no longer covered. And that's pretty much the general fund budget as we know it today. Now, if I can take you, I may have moved a little quickly, but if I can take you back to page 9, here we talk about all the other funds. And in the detail behind it, I show you where and how the money comes in and how it goes out in these other funds. So the highway fund, we get the money from the gasoline tax and the motor vehicle tax. How do we spend it? We spend it to keep route 2 maintained. We have an agreement with the county, we pay the county. So I do want you to remember that this is here for, maybe explanations as you go through and look at these reports. If you're looking at things in the 700, those are all deposits that we receive, which we give back. The buildings might have deposits, somebody else might have deposits. Whatever I expect to get is what I expect to invest. The 800 funds, those are the funds that you, council, have set aside for specific purposes. We have funded the rainy day fund. We have funded the 27th pay, which is happening this year, but I ask that you continue to fund it. And you have started a capital fund. I have asked that you continue to fund that in 26. So, what I guess let's just go to page 12. Page 12, so this is where we ended the 2025 year in terms of the fund balance. So, kind of, if you want to think about it, the checking account for that specific group of expenses. Not really a separate checking account, but that's how you kind of grasp it. It's the checking account only for that person. It has its receipts, it has its expenses, all budgeted, and this is where we hope to hit at the end of the year. As we have budgeted it currently with the projects that are in there, we anticipate that our $8 million fund balance will go to a $7 million fund balance. But I assure you that it's still a healthy fund balance in terms of all the other funds are sustainable, and we're still adding to the rainy day, the 27th day, and a 50 center and capital. So if you go all the way down to the 800, you will see that although we may have a decline in the general fund, I have asked that you consider supporting the reserves or set aside for specific purpose. So the general fund, rainy day, $200,000, that comes in from the general fund. The 27th pay for $60,000, that comes in from the general fund. As general fund, safety center, general fund, capital program, capital assets, safety fund. So these items are part of why you see this decline in a general fund. But again, we're at a good point. All the other funds have money. It's not that we run a fund down to 50 cents or $3. We have money in these other funds, so we're in a good condition. Questions so far? Okay. If you look at page 13. Page 13 is just a fund balance for several years. If we spent all the money, which we have not done in our general fund, but if we spent all the money, we would be back to a 23 balance. We never spent all our money. We have always been able to return money to the general fund. So again, I'm not anticipating a major dip. I have anticipated what I believe to be a realistic number with good things coming in the future. I just don't know what they are. And this is, again, just the history of all these funds. We have been through the general revenue. The legislation gives you the expenses for the general fund. 202, I know I just talked about that. You can see that gasoline tax, I'm sorry, that's page 25. You can see that at the beginning of January 25, we were almost 800,000. If we spent all the money, we might be down to almost 600,000 at the end of 26. But we budgeted $1.1 million in this fund. We actually spent $815,000 in this fund. So again, it will increase when we're done at the end of this year, but it does have expenses that you might want to look at. Again, the salaries may have some pluses and minuses in some of the service departments because we may have reallocated some of the people, but we have the same number of people. We may have taken somebody from the sewer, or we may take an open position in sewer and put it in as a position for maintenance. Or we may have moved a guy from roads to sewer, but that's really all we've done. We haven't done anything. Okay? So far, questions?
I have one in 436, you're talking about increasing the $40,000 in this budget for 2026. Is there a reason for the big increase there?
Fund 436?
Yes, recreational capital improvement.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute, let me look. I budgeted $40,000 last year. I spent $40,000. I mean, we spent $442,000. But that was, flash card money. So we budgeted 25 to 40. We budgeted for 26 to 40. It's just the flash part was out there as a bill payable from, I'm guessing it was probably 23, 24. And so since it was paid, the payments will be significantly more than what we budgeted, but it was payment, the final payment. Okay, thank you. Sure, I do want to highlight that. That would be on page 41. I apologize for jumping around. I want to make sure I can answer questions and get the highlights in here. Sewer at the end of 25 was $1,700,000. Sewer at the end of 26 is expected to be almost $1,900,000. So we may have picked up $200,000 on that. But I can also say that one of the notes that we were paying on with the on the sewer project, one of the notes, they paused the payment and they're realigning our payment. So in January, my payment was paused, and I don't know what July is going to be, so I got one payment free, till I find out what the rest of my payments are. So that could have an impact in this as well, but I didn't pay January. So I found that there's a few things that we may have, again, budgeted for, asked for a loan, and after the project was completed, they stopped the payment because they are readjusting our balances and our payments to them. This is the state. So that would be sewer. But the good news is there was a projection where we were headed down in the wrong direction on the sewer fund, and we are actually, I'd say, pretty stable right now with the payment to Willoughby and to the state for our project. I just want to bring that to your attention. Maybe we should just, flip back to the exhibits then, exhibit A and B and C. Those are your last three pages. And again, as I know more information, I will share it, but I don't have any more information. Exhibit A, we've got, with the state, which you all have been made aware prior to this, we're funding the East 361 Highway Plan to Glen Drive resurfacing road. The fire department has asked for a vehicle, jet ski, and power hose roller. It's being funded, battery backup, fire gear for the new, guys. And the heart monitor, maintenance monitor, that's being funded. The police department has asked, the chief has asked for the 2 vehicles and some chairs. These software costs are automatically included so that we don't have to shut the software down. The police department has been for many years on a 2-vehicle, per budget, basis because those vehicles are used so highly, they're in use 24 hours a day. And then he rolls them down. So he's asking that those 2 vehicles be replaced, so we have that money in the budget. And the service department is looking for, a vehicle, 2026 Super Cab, Ford Super Cab, 12-ton tandem, and lawnmower. Those line items are covered in this budget. Every person, every one of them is going to say there's not enough money for all their desires, but every one of them basically highlighted what was the most important thing that they get this year. So I know that the mayor has taken the time to talk with every person individually on that. Exhibit B, I have the debt, and I have some answers there, such as Plymouth, Quentin, they're adopting it. The fire truck lease was actually paid out in December. We won't see that payment in 2026. We had the opportunity to pay off a week or 2 early. OPWC, we add as we maybe do road projects, so we will have some additional road project money. You can see Lakeland's in there as we go through these projects with the state that we have online, the IRS, et cetera. We will be adding to the OPWC. And the stadium debt this year payment is $1,211,642. So I've displayed all the debt. The good news is that there's some good controls over these, and we're chipping away at them unless they're the interest-free state allowing us to do some roads, and we've certainly taken advantage of that. The final exhibit talks about, again, your different fund numbers and what the individual section means right after those 3-digit fund numbers. So a lot of times we might refer to 101-310, and that's going to be, we're talking about the police department. So when you're looking at your numbers here and you're looking at the budget, 310 would be the police department. Yes, I've given words to it, but 310 is their operation. Do they have another line? Yes, they have, or another section. They do have police communication, they have administration, they have the station building, which will always be more. We have the communication, and we have equipment. So we do have other categories besides just the general where all the officers operate out of, but the police department is broken down into those different sections. So I apologize, Chief, for using you, but I think you have the largest group of sections of any of us here. So I highlighted yours because it was easy to say, look, I got a 310, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, just because he has the biggest group. He's 100% of the general fund, other than the pensions and things like that, but he operates in the general fund. The fire department has other levies that they have the ability to work with. So when you're looking at the fire department, the fire chief has to look at more than just the general fund because he has a fire levy 410, and he has a 200 number. 215 fire EMS levy, and then he has the ambulance funds that come in, so that would be 617. Fire chief is looking at it a little differently than the police chief, but we have 100% of the police budget within the general fund, including our parks and recreation. Splash Park will cost us more this year, that was an automatic. We're going to have to put wages in there for people to open and lock up. We didn't have that last year. So we're still tweaking some of those, those little sections, but I can tell you that Splash Park will go up for operational. It's certainly not going to go up for cost. We've spent all the large money for that. Now we do the chemicals and, whatever else we gotta get out to make it work. Parts here and there, but clean up in the bathrooms, but personnel need to be funded in that category. Do I have a question?
I have a question with regards to the splash guard. So you did say that the operation will go up. Is that simply because the YMCA is no longer going to
That is
be doing
a
that?
statement, the YMCA is not going to lock it up on this thing.
So they won't be testing the console either.
That is correct.
Should we have somebody at this point?
We do have people that are qualified, and we just have not decided how to operate it yet.
Thank you.
Did I leave you all in the dust as I ran too quickly? Again, I wish I had more to tell you. I feel guilty for not saying, yeah, this is where we're gonna be, but I really don't know where we're gonna be. I expect that come June or August, we can sit down here and say, oh, look at what all the positive things that came in, and maybe where else we can put some extra funds. And I don't have that story for you today. I'm just looking at a potential loss of one of our large manufacturers. In the last, I would say maybe 5 years, we have lost 4 of our largest manufacturers. And some of them were just bought out. But when you have somebody that comes in that's national and they buy out our little mom and pop show, they're probably streamlining, sending administration somewhere else. And my payroll numbers that are coming in are not quite where they used to be. So we have weathered all of that in the last 5 years. It's just Millennium has just, this is my first year without any Millennium money, and now I've got a potential where I may not see much more of that one either, and I don't know where to come from. I don't know where we're going to head with that. I will be down, will it be here? I don't know. I'm doing budget based on newspaper articles. So.
Has Costco been involved in this?
They were one of the ones that got bought out and manufacturing was changed.
And has there been any major discussions or anything, and I know this is all hypothetical, what happens if property taxes go high?
That's a different discussion for a different day. Totally different discussion. That is not something I would even attempt to budget today, and that's because the state's got such a large thing as well in terms of what they would like to do to help. Not, my crystal ball just does not go out that far.
Gotcha. And if I could just ask one more question, you came up with a $200,000 for the marijuana fund?
Yeah.
Which is,
It was dark. It was a dark.
I got it. Thank you.
Because we have not received one single check. So I'm sure once it's rolling, it's going to do a lot better than that, but I don't know where we are. Are we at the beginning stages where they're learning to talk? Are we, mid-stage now where people are all in that store? I have no idea where that business is and its chart of growth. So we ask your blessing on a budget that is to be revised at some point in time, especially when we get to the arena.
Comment?
drizzle, but if you can imagine the flood waters compounded with a major storm, it could have been a real disaster. And we had some damage, I'm sure. The Port Authority does well, the Sugar River Watershed Partners, they really help our city with prevention. All the preventative measures, the dredging of the river, they maintain the banks and the shores. That's I think is probably the most effective for the city. The Port Authority's budget has not increased at all for a number of years at this point. I think the city is $10,000, I believe. The Port Authority would like more. They definitely requested Councilman Seneca and I that they increase that. And I would be in favor of it, but we would have to run it by you and see what the city could propose a good amount for that. But I definitely think that there should be an increase because, like I said, it is a potential safety issue. If there ever is an incident where, say, a rescue had to be done because of flooding, we're putting firefighters, us as police officers at risk. So I really think that some increase would, as a preventive, we look at it as a preventive measure. They do some recreation for the city as well. So I just wanted to say that.
Just to add to that, I was sharing the Port Authority meeting, and they did go over the budget, and I could share with the council and everybody the budget during the river. Just where what actually.
Is there any other discussion regarding the city budget? Any questions for the finance director? Anything like that? No? Okay. Moving on to the agenda, we have no pending matters. We have no miscellaneous matters. Recognition of the public. We do have some time for recognition of the public at this time. I'm going to suggest that any public comment at this point be just concerning the city budget because we are having a city council meeting after this and there will be time for other matters at that time. So, you will any resident who wants can speak for 3 minutes. You shall not involve personalities. And so at this point, I recognize if anybody wants to make a public comment regarding the city budget. Okay, I see nobody wishes to make a public comment at this time.
Question.
Yes, you would. That's right.
Does this speak like my
No.
Okay. That's fine.
Is it residents of the city, you say?
I'm sorry.
Did you say residents of the city can talk?
Yes. Well, and anyone can. Yes. Others can.
Property on Holy Drive.
Better find something, sir.
That's not question.
Yes.
Are we now in the city, or are we planning any time in the future to full enforce traffic laws?
Sorry. Repeat the question.
Are we now in the process or planning, or are we thinking about in the future instituting a fully enforced traffic law camera system in the city of Eastlake?
This is not on the agenda. This is not a city agenda.
I was asking questions. Is there no one that can answer whether you're talking about this?
Chief Warner will bless.
The police department is not looking at local board traffic.
Any other members of the public wish to address the
council as a whole committee meeting for February 24th, 2026, order at 7 p.m. In attendance from council is everybody, and in attendance from the administration, everybody as well. If there's anyone reporting this meeting as a courtesy to the public, would you please identify yourself so that the fellow attendees know they are being recorded? Being no one, the City of Eastlake is reporting this meeting. Under legislation proposed, legislation 022401, an ordinance to reappropriate for the expenses of the City of Eastlake, State of Ohio, will be carried beginning January 1st, 2026, and ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. That's the budget that we just went over in the, finance committee meeting about 45 minutes.
Okay, so this will be on first reading. Legislation 022402, an ordinance amending section 939.26D3 sewer service charges of the codified ordinances of the City of Eastlake, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
I can tell you that those are the changes that the city of Liberty has made to their ordinance for surcharge on sewer charges. And they request that we do the same.
Any questions? Legislation 022403, resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and director of finance to accept the fire department training grant from the Ohio Division of State Fire Marshal for a total of $600 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is a grant that State Fire Marshal's office put out, reimbursing us for a class that our new fire marshal. We already paid for the class.
Any questions? We have no legislation pending. Under miscellaneous, I would like to state that we all understand that this is an important issue. We're not conducting any kind of trial. We're not voting on removing anyone at this point, so we keep this debate focused. And if there's no objection, I'd like us to keep the debate among council members for 3 minutes, starting with Mr. Self, because it was something that she brought forward, and then with Ms. Graniak, to give her a chance to listen to everybody else and address everybody's comments. So if there's no objections, I'd like to keep the debate to 3 minutes per council member, to keep things focused and on track. Good. Okay. Under miscellaneous, we have the discussion of Councilwoman Castellan's request for legislation authorizing the removal of Councilwoman Graniak for week 3 of the charter of the City of Eastlake. Before we do this, Mr. Castellan, Mr. Clymer, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just for the benefit of the council, that may have seen all these notes that we've been talking about the proper procedure, and for the benefit of the resident. There was a request, my comments or the fact that we're having a hearing today to decide whether, if, or how proceed should be taken as a conclusion by anybody, because that's what it's here for, is to determine what's appropriate, what's not. The process, although it's simple in the charter, becomes complicated once we get to this point. We did have a request from Ms. Costello, which outlined her reasonings for her request and her justifications. The council president is it gave her the permission to go, the opportunity to go first to explain that to the rest of the council. Ms. Graniak will go last, which just makes more sense if she could make her responses in one vote at the end. The proceedings then going forward is kind of awkward, but it's, I guess, interesting for the people that are watching. The procedure, if council were to decide they want to move forward with this, is that I would need to then secure special counsel to draft the complaint. That complaint at some point then would be presented back to the council by way of legislation. I would then, if it moves forward to that point, and if we find ourselves to the point of giving notice to the councilwoman and moving forward to what is essentially a trial before council, as the law director, I would essentially sit as the law clerk for the council president, who would essentially be the judge making any decisions on objection to things that you might see at a normal trial. We would have special counsel who could help us draft the complaint if council moves it forward. that person would be involved in that, because that would be the person that prosecutes the complaint. And then essentially it would be a full hearing, similar to a trial, in front of council. These things don't obviously happen all that often, so it's uncharted territory for a lot of cities. I've had some experience in it in a neighborhood community to a certain degree, so I think we're well positioned to move forward, but I like the fact that we limited the comments today to 3 minutes per person, per council person, and then we will, at some point, we will vote, if not today, and Monday.
Would that cost the city $5 forward?
I think we are, very comfortable holding on time for vote.
Public comment will come in the council meeting. So, thank you, Mr. Clement. With that, we move to,
Easy President of the Council Officer, I did a formal request, council consider initiating removal of city directly.
Can you speak up? We can't hear back here.
Request the hospital was based on documented public trust for council operations involving communications. This represents a fact, refusal to engage in good faith governance and misuse of public platform. And screenshots, emails, instant messages, audio files, and official confirmations for each of the following points. I want to clarify that I was in the process of resigning from council prior to this event. I decided to bring this matter forward only after a member of the Brainiac crossed a clear professional line involving and referencing my full-time employment in a public forum in a manner that I reasonably perceived as frightening and intimidating. During a public discussion on Facebook, I just asked a question. I clarified my position, stated that I was done engaging in this conversation. She stated smart idea, especially working. Blank, because I will not use her name, has big boots. Despite this, Councilmember Brainiac continued to post about me and my employment, referencing that people are watching, waiting, and willing to particularly when you are working for the past year. Consider this a friendly warning, unquote. This moves the issue from policy disagreement to personal humiliation involving my livelihood, my professional standing, and I disengage from a public discussion. Councilmember Brainiac continued to post about my employment. In one point, she referenced an ex-employee stating that this individual had bigamy and shoot the fellow, and later made additional posts implying that she knew this person personally. The ex-employee, who I know, confirmed they do not know Ms. Brainiac, have no connection to the city or council, and were very upset her name had been publicly used on social media. This demonstrates that Ms. Brainiac pulled an uninvolved private individual into a public dispute and caused unnecessary personal and reputational harm. Councilmember Brainiac publicly solicited donations to residents of first chair. Please share. After soliciting donations, she posted in a public comment that the finance director denied the first order of request from chair. Additionally, Councilmember Brainiac publicly stated that over $2,000 has been pledged for the police chair. To date, it is not verified whether any funds were actually received by the city or deposited into any official account. I respectfully request that council verify whether any funds were collected, how they were collected, and where they were deposited. If no funds were received, the public representation over $2,000 has been pledged, further reconciled residents and created a false impression of the city interaction community fundraising as necessity. I respectfully request that Ms. Brainiac verify whether any funds were collected, how they were collected, and where they were deposited. After Mayor Overstreet corrected the false statement on the official city page, a resident demanded that the city issue a public apology to Ms. Brainiac for calling her out. This demonstrates the confusion of public distrust created by false statements. Following the chair incident, Councilmember Brainiac sent me an instant message stating, and I quote, FYI, every collective bargaining year, Carol Ann buries money in different accounts so arbitrators can't find that money. Should stay in the general fund. That time was $1 million over 4 accounts. Another false statement that being made by Ms. Brainiac. I would consider the definition of error on behalf of the finance director.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment?
Well, since I wasn't actually aware that we were going to be able to do what that said. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, shit.
I just have, one comment, okay? Look, I understand that this is sort of escalated pretty quickly.
Can't hear you.
Still can't hear back
chair.
I'm sorry.
You guys gotta move the microphones closer.
Might not have-
And talk slower.
Yes, please. A lot of mumbling.
Excuse me. Hold on. Thank you. No, I understand things are kind of escalated quickly. And everything, and, I'd like to make the suggestion that perhaps two individuals sit down, and not with any of us, and not with someone who's say like the law director or someone, but perhaps you could suggest someone that could mediate, sit down with a neutral individual and try to work out the differences and resolve this, rather than we have a drag this out further, drag this into a messy situation, things like that. That's all, one suggestion. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything? If not, I would just like to say, I jotted a few notes down. When this complaint was first brought to me, I was obviously a bit saddened because I thought we were going to be past all this dysfunction with this election. As the council president, it's my understanding that it isn't solely my place to decide what happened with the complaint that was sent to me. So I consulted with our law director for some guidance, and to ensure transparency, I shared it promptly so there's no perception of anything being withheld. As council president, I also don't have any managerial or supervisory role over council. However, I hope that we were still able to resolve it without the escalation between the meeting, between the two parties. Unfortunately, subsequent communications and public statements have reinforced my concern that that's not going to happen. I've observed interactions involving residents, city staff, business, and members of council that fall far short of professional standards we should expect. That includes recent exchanges over routine administrative matters that escalate unnecessarily. Additionally, posts on the Black Watch page, which many of its members believe to be a city-sponsored page, where they could go for trust for accurate and impartial information regarding our city, which it is not, have included statements that are inaccurate and inflammatory. That impacts public trust and the working relationships necessary for effective government. This isn't about a disagreement. Disagreement is part of public service. It's about conduct, standards, and a pattern of behavior that's gone on for many years and overlooked and tolerated. Personally, I think we're at a point where if you mistreat somebody so often, you're going to come to somebody that's going to stand up and say, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. So, that's all. Anybody else? All right, if no one else, just so the public's aware, public portions of the meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Okay, my turn now?
Yes.
All right, I wasn't aware that I was going to be able to speak tonight, to be honest with you, so while I'd like to sit and go through every single one of Ms. Costello's comments, I only have to tell you this. I have been running the Black Watch page for 17 years. Everybody knows. It's not paid by the city. It is not run by the city. It's run by 4 administrators collectively. You see a comment removed, somebody doesn't like something, there are rules to behavior. And it goes for me too. There is rules for people's behavior. And there's consequences to that. And I'm sorry if somebody gets removed or somebody doesn't like what I have to say. Ms. Costello's comment with regard to her job was in reference to a woman by the last name of Freeman who works in another city. My initial consultation with Danielle had absolutely nothing to do with anything the city of East Lake but abolishing property tax. The next thing I knew, we were here. And I have never engaged in malfeasance, misfeasance, nonfeasance. Removal in office is only going to apply to this term. Anything done prior to this term does not count. I will be accused of stealing money, taking money, and the chief knows. I've never taken a dime from anybody. And so how anybody accuse me of it. When I say $2,000 pledge, that means that businesses, people in the city came forward and said, let's get them some dang chairs. They pledged it. That money would have gone immediately to the police department. They would have received it. It would have gone to Carol Ann. It would have been a line item as a donation, and we would have collectively accepted it. I've helped many of you people in this room. And all I can tell you is that my history, my word, and my character will stand. I've never done anything malfeasant, misdecent, or non-decent that applies. You don't have to like me, and I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But I'll be damned, I will never have somebody tell me that I stole money, embezzled something, or picked on people. Particularly when I came in here at Christmas time with a lovely gift that was at my desk, given to me by one of my coworkers, called me a bitch and a witch, and accused me and my religion of being something untoward. That's what I have to look at myself. You want to talk about dysfunction? There's dysfunction in this room. It's been going on for many years. I'm the only one that has spoke up about it. That's why I was elected.
Okay, so everyone's aware, motions are made in the affirmative, so any vote taken, would be, in favor of moving forward. So, do we have a vote to move forward with this?
I'm not going back and forth.
No.
I'm sorry, Randy, what did you say?
You can't hear you.
Speak to the mic.
Please, close, please.
Excuse me. Randy, please.
If there's no motion, you don't have to insist on one, which is not.
Still can't hear you.
I think you have to hit a button on the microphone.
Because there's no motion, we don't have to insist on the motion.
Just back my comments before, any thoughts of the comment made about possibly asking for some outside help with an outside system?
I would be amenable to that.
The councilman or the president really reached out last week for us, and I was open to it. It was declined.
Well, it was declined because it was going to be only one time, last year it was declined.
Yeah, I don't think we're talking about discussing now, I'm just asking if everybody was amenable to it. That's all. Somebody from outside council, outside party, from our, I'm sure you guys can follow this up.
I would be amenable because I think it's going to cost the city money, time, more tax to the city that we don't need. We've been through several mayors, deaths of people up here. I've lived here 57 years. When one person or four people get to make a decision and circumvent the vote of me being duly elected, that's a problem.
Huge problem.
When I'm being publicly threatened by Ms. Craniac stating that if she's removed, I'll let her fury. And if you F with me, I will F with you.
We're ready, police charges filed.
I'm trying to mess her leave here.
When she's found guilty, then you can talk about it. So that we don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Let's go, move forward.
Last time I checked, it was innocent until proven guilty.
If we don't have quiet, we'll have to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
We've already tried the route of talking. So I would like to make a motion to move forward to put this on the agenda for the next.
The motion for me to draft legislation to secure, special counsel.
Thank you. Second? Council, please call roll. Call roll. Yes.
Mr. Tillman? Yes. Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Ms. Craniac?
No.
Mr. Overstreet?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
No.
Thank you. Motion has been adopted. This council as a whole committee meeting is adjourned at 7:21 p.m. Call the regular council meeting of February 24th, 2026 to order at 7:21 p.m.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call roll?
Mr. Kenneth? Here. Mr. Gully?
Here.
Ms. Craniac?
Here.
Mr. Overstreet?
Here.
Ms. Tillman?
Here.
Mr. Myers?
Here.
Mr. Bennett?
Here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the regular meeting, February 24th, 2026? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Overstreet?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Ms. Craniac?
Yes.
Mr. Tillman? Yes. Mr. Bennett?
Yes. Motion carried, agenda is approved. On to approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the regular council meeting of February 10th, 2026?
So.
Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Ms. Craniac?
Yes.
Mr. Overstreet?
Yes.
Mr. Tillman? Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes. Motion carried, minutes approved. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the council as a whole committee meeting of February 10th, 2026?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Myers?
yes.
Mr. Overstreet?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Ms. Craniac?
Yes.
Mr. Tillman?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes. Motion carried, minutes approved. The next scheduled council as a whole committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m. with the regular council meeting immediately following the adjournment of the council as a whole committee. Mr. Gully, I believe you have a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we approve the liquor license transfer number 10012291-1 from Mississippi Incorporated located at 36219 Vine Street, East Ohio, 44095 to Bruno Alley Incorporated, Jeans Joint Patio, also located at 36219 Vine Street, East Ohio, 44095.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Mr. Overstreet?
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth?
Yes.
Ms. Craniac?
Yes.
Mr. Tillman?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes. Motion carried, motion approved. On to committee reports. We have a finance committee.
Yeah, we have one thing on the agenda this evening. I was waiting for this meeting a little bit. It was just to discuss the proposed budget for the city of Eastlake. And the full budget structure is going to appear when it is available to the public for anybody who wants to see the city budget. And the finance committee moved the budget forward onto the council agenda. So that'll be considered at the next meeting and also.
We did have a Port Authority meeting. During the Port Authority meeting, we went election of officers. Aaron Bolton remains the chair. Tim Kirby has been elected vice chair. Laura Vanell remains the secretary, and Nick Laura remains the treasurer. time, they did have a marketing committee. During the marketing committee, they went over a book lesson event that they're planning on having, and they're also putting together an event committee. They did go over their budget and shared what they spent on dredging the river and all their expenses, which I brought up in the finance committee meeting, which I'll share with the administration and all council, because they did request an increase in the amount of money that the city gives them yearly for dredging purposes. With that, I'm open for any questions. Seeing none. And lastly, we did have an ECDC committee meeting.
East Lake Community Development Council met this evening at 5:30. We had a little discussion of the draft mission statement, and they did discuss it. They did something of a budget for a few things. The plant swap, the yard of the year, and the business holiday lighting lanterns. Those are huge expenditures, but they would like something of a budget for those matters. So we'll be approaching the mayor to discuss that sometime soon. The East Lake plant swap is being planned for May 16th, 2026. So, for those who are into plants in your yard and things like that, you can take a plant, leave a plant. Also, we discussed moving the time and date that the council meets. Typically, we have been meeting on the fourth Tuesday at 5:30 before council meeting. This has presented problems because often, just like today, we have committee meetings at 6 o'clock. It's a half hour for this council to meet. Also, we have several vacancies on the council. So, we think that by moving it to a time and date that would be later in the day, like say 6:30 or something like that, we think that we can get more interested people. So for those of you who maybe have been interested in joining the EDC but haven't been able to because of that not convenient time, that's something that we're discussing changing. And we discussed the third Tuesday of the month at 6:30 as a possibility, but again, that's not for sure yet. But we're just kind of floating this at this time. And with that, I'm open for questions.
I have a question, I'm sorry, going back and forth, you mentioned an increase in the budget, and did they have an amount in mind?
They didn't have an actual amount in mind. They suggested what, 25,000?
The budget has been as high as 25,000, but yeah, it wasn't a specific.
Right.
I think they spent 10,000 for a long time.
It's been many years. I was hoping one of the members of the court were able to come today. I reached out to them the other day, and unfortunately, they weren't. I was hoping they would be able to do a presentation. Since it's on 3 readings, I wouldn't mind bringing it back and suggesting that someone comes in and, so they can describe for everybody what they do for the city and for the river to keep us safe. So, thank you. All right, we'll move on to recognition of public. The floor is now open for recognition of public. I'd like to remind speakers that all remarks will be directed to the chair and will not involve personalities and are limited to 3 minutes per person, 30 minutes total. Our first speaker is Donald DeWitt.
I am Donald DeWitt. My address is 10461 Briarhill Drive, Curtin. I represent my stepfather and the property that we own on 33637 Millwood Drive. Considering the way this meeting has gone down, I hope this isn't a violation. As a character witness for this woman, I've known her since first grade, along with her husband Joe. Their son in the military. They're stellar people. Is Chris a little out there sometimes on Facebook? Yeah, like everybody else, including Mrs. Castonet's brother, who attacked me yesterday, threatening my occupation and my good name, which I responded, go ahead. And then he deleted his comment, which, by the way, he posted anonymously. Now, less than a year ago, I left for Colorado My stepfather was 84 years old and has been ripped off by drug addicts and prostitutes that go to his house and take advantage of him. The police have done nothing. Okay? I asked if she would check on my stepfather while I was gone in Colorado, and she did. My mother died 6 years ago. Up until my mother died, she was a member of Block Watch, and I used to be a member like us. My mom went to parties. My mom did Block Watch. And Chris made sure my mom was safe. She's a good person. She says things that a lot of us don't like, but I know most of the people, because I've watched that page, they attack her viciously, okay? And the fact that she defends herself sometimes by blocking them, that's her option. That's her page. If Mrs. Stolnick, who was supposed to resign, would like to open her own page, she's more than welcome to. Which, by the way, as far as I know, she already has. But I've been hassled by her family members in the past couple of days, threatening my real estate career, that I might not have more work because of my opinion to defend her. Now, that is wrong in every single way, okay? She's a good person. We all make mistakes. John's made mistakes. You forgave him. You made him the president of council. She's on something. Now, I will leave you with this. You're all not that right. You didn't read this room. You're not reading the city. She's the one that should resign.
Our second speaker is Matthew Richards.
Good evening.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Matthew Richards, 29815 Haven Drive, Little Lake, Vermont. I'm here at the behest of my wife, Danielle Richards, who was formerly Danielle Evers and grew up in East Lake on Beach Truck Drive. I'm going to read a letter that she gave me. She could not be here tonight. Dear council members and members of the committee, I want to start by thanking you for allowing me to speak out on this topic, as well as apologize for not being able to attend in person due to work obligations that I've been called away to D.C. Over the last 40 years, my family has had interactions with many of you, as my father, Tim Evers, was very involved in the community, whether that be as a baseball or football coach, volunteer, and the later leader for EPAL, a member for various committees for the city, and in later years as council person. We have cheered on your kids, passed out flyers, and ever served you breakfast at fundraisers. While most of this is a happy memory for us since the passing of our dad, it has also been what can only be called a very eye-opening experience into some of the interactions he and then subsequently myself have had with Chris Frizzy. What started as difference of opinion in how EPAL should be managed eventually evolved into the very personal text and full-faced lies by Chris on her East Lake Community Block Watch Facebook page. Initially, my father reached out to her both privately and publicly about the misinformation she was spreading. I and the rest of the members of the page were then see as she lashed out and threats and more lies in a very peculiar way, with the accusations of things that never happened and could not have happened due to my father's medical condition. My father battled with chronic lymphoma, a cancer of the blood, for over 15 years before passing away in June of 2021. Over the next few years, she continued to post horrific, inaccurate things about my dad's family. This came to a head March 6th of 2023. March 6th was my dad's birthday, as despite being deceased for almost 2 years, she once again put up a vile post about him on the East Lake Community Block Watch page that resulted in all of us, including my mother, receiving multiple messages about it. As a family, we have decided that this needs to stop. I compiled screenshots of posts she had made on the East Lake Community Block Watch page and messages I had sent asking her to stop. On March 9th, 2023, I attempted to file a report for harassment in East Lake after talking to the Lake County Prosecutor's Office. The county asked me to please file a police report as there had been multiple residents who had told about her. The county prosecutor did go over the various legalities with me, and yes, what she had been doing, even if in the capacity of a private citizen,
could only be described as harassment and was very much illegal. At the time, the East Lake Chief of Police asked me to file out the report and will it, as I was no longer an East Lake resident. I did. Sorry, time is up. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Jane Casario. Costiano.
Jane Costiano, 735 Marion Road, East Lake. I come on behalf of her. You know, to get your feelings hurt, that's just like, Chris attacks daily, day in and day out. Because she was a 50 agenda.
I'm sorry. Please address the chair.
Oh, you look at you? Okay, I'll look at you. She attacks all the time. But nobody looks to see what she does for our residents, what she's done for the city. She responds to residents from every single ward, every single one of them. Why? Because those council members don't ever return emails or phone calls. Despite her health problems, she puts us first. She puts the city first. She puts her heart and soul into this city. And because of a person that got their feelings hurt, that is currently committing nepotism, and she was supposed to resign if her husband got elected. He's been elected, he's been mayor for 6 weeks. She has not resigned. So I think her accusation to the charges that she's supposed to be put up on her should be a wash. And shame on any of you that is sitting back watching this. You don't have to like her, but Christ sees the forest from the trees. Everything that she has done for the city, we're supposed to be called crown jewels. That's a flag. A complete flag. You're attacking the one person that cares. She can't be bought, and she's not a young man.
Okay, there's nobody else signed up to speak. Would anyone else like to address council?
I would, please. I would.
Sure, please step up and state your name and address.
So, my first name is Anthony, my last name is Moises. I didn't come from here for a speech. I own the Anthony Family Restaurant in East Lake on Vine Street, at 34931 Vine Street, East Lake, Ohio. I live in Concord at 11151 Potter's Trail. I love East Lake. I don't think I've ever met anyone up here with the exception of 2 people. One is the law director, Randy. One is Chris. I knew Chris before she was ever a politician in the city of East Lake. I became friends with Chris. To me, Chris is outspoken. I consider her a good friend of mine. I've seen the East Lake City local politics now for 27 years. It hurts me inside. The way you guys fight, the way you guys don't get along, the way I don't know any of you guys, it hurts. I think you guys could do so much better if you can put your emotions on the side just a little bit and learn to work together, learn to come together, learn to have discussion and arguments in closed doors. Try to stay off social media a little bit. I get in trouble with it sometimes myself. We all can become keyboard warriors at times. In my opinion, it should have never got to where it is today. And my hope is we're not robots. We all think different, we all act different, we all do things in a different manner. But with that being said, at the end of the day, you guys are all leaders in the city of East Point. And I believe you guys can do a lot better than what you're doing here tonight. Bless you guys. That's all I have.
Is there anyone else who would like to address council?
My name is Joe Barnett, I live at 178 Waverly Road, all know who I am. I just want these people to understand that, Mr. Chair, you were the one who set Stallman up with the format to have a prepared sheet. She knew what she was going to say, and that right was not given to my wife, and I appreciate my.
We had no discussion.
Go ahead. My name is Becky Overberg, and I live at 1351 in Eastwood. So I have a few comments, and I know I have to direct it to you, but I'm gonna look at it. I am not a fan of hers at all, not at all. I belong to a page, but I think what you guys are doing is wrong.
Right.
She was elected by the people.
Yeah.
You guys do. I don't understand how you guys can make this decision.
That's right.
Because I'll tell you what, it doesn't look right. I'm sorry, Danielle, that I used your name.
I'm
You were
sorry.
talking about,
Keep your comments directed towards the chair.
okay, then I'll ask you. She was talking about theft in office. What was that about? And why didn't any one of you ask a question?
That's right.
None of you asked a question. She's talking about theft.
And you just all wanted to do her in.
I mean, I don't understand how you guys could question that. We're not talking about the $2,000. She mumbled at me so fast. I didn't understand. Okay, but I want to know what theft is going on.
Ms. Craney has to say it again.
Are you waiting for a job visit?
No, at this time, we're not discussing details of it. It was just deciding whether or not we can move forward, and then.
So you don't think it's important not to adjust? Is that what you're saying?
I think it's important, but at this time, we're not discussing that.
So when can we just let?
Yeah.
But I know, I tried to, that first step is just to have outside counsel review what potentially could be the charges, determine what he or she thinks are provable in accordance with the charter, draft those documents, then those would be presented to council. That's when we would hear evidence of all those types of things. The only procedure today was essentially council saying on their face or in their experience, there's something there that they want to go to that next step. But as far as doing her in, that's certainly not the intention of today. I know it is an important move, and it certainly is, it stinks, I understand that. But that is the procedure, so I just want to make sure you understand at what stage we're at, that's all.
Okay, I mean, I didn't know who she said was stealing in her state. Except it was a large amount. We're not talking about $2,000. She said it so fast, I would like re-clarification. I don't even know if it's involved in it. I don't know. But I don't think that that's proper, that we just let go. Do you guys have human resources? How do you not have human resources? I mean, this could be very easily be resolved.
John's idea was about.
I mean, I just think that it shouldn't be you guys being able to make her decision. She was voted in, and it should be the people that vote on her.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to address council?
Hold on.
Chris Gonzalo, retired police officer. My first house was listed in West Carolina. I'm also a member of the NSSR page. And I can say, right now, this is multiple attacks against Chris. I don't know if it is any of you. But what I will say is that I have seen multiple times where on her page, it has been posted that a personal page is not proper in the city. So for anybody to come up here and say that there's confusion, or that people go there and think that it's an official city page, that's just not true. Anybody take that stand is lying to you and lying to all those people out here. That's absolutely not true. It's unfortunate that you guys have come to, for someone for now, who is exercising freedom of speech. You also got a hand down. But like so many other things, if you don't like what's being said on the page, then leave it, don't comment.
I'm Thomas McNamara. I live at 147 East Silver Drive. I didn't come here today in support of anybody. I just come here to listen. And from what I've seen, it looks like personal attacks against people. And I don't have a speak or anything. I just think it's sad that we've come to this point that we're almost how I feel, hacking it out here in a council meeting against each other. We should be working together under a united cause. I also say that we have freedom of speech. Freedom of speech will not free consequences, whether it's both parties, one to another or another to another. So I don't really have much more to say other than that. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address council? Seeing none, we'll move on to legislation proposal.
Wait, we don't want to.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
My name is Chris On, I live at 767 Quinton Road, East Lake, Ohio. I'm sorry to interrupt this whole proceeding, but it's not my concern this evening. You brought up about the Port Authority, and we do have a problem on the river. I served on the Port Authority for over 20 years, so I know what I'm talking about. We need to get commissioners to get behind us and help us to take care of the river. All this problem started when Gates Mills tore down their dam. Shortly after, the city of Willoughby tore down Daniels. Now, these trees and all the debris that's coming down here, this is coming from Lake Erie and going back up the river. Okay? We know how what flows, right? And that's what's causing the problems down here in East Lake. We're the end of the problem, not the beginning. And I think it's about time that we put pressure on our elected officials, commissioners, to help us. All these other cities, Willoughby Hills, Kirtland, Gates Mills, should all be putting in something to help us take care of the problem.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to address council? But,
My name is Kristen Dwyer, I live at 320 Shelton Boulevard. And I just want to say, I know Chris, and this city would lose somebody that's very great, and I know none of you probably like that she will speak out for herself and speak up for residents, whether she agrees with you guys or not. But she is a wonderful person. She takes care of the city, she takes care of the people. I've never seen any of you guys do that.
No.
My grandkids loved her. She has always been there for everybody. I can message many times that she would be there, just like she would be for the rest of these residents in here. Nobody else is. You really do need to get over your feelings being hurt.
Sorry,
You know what?
keep your
All
comments.
right. So am I. Can't hear you. Get the microphone. We can hear your phone.
You're okay.
I'm not doing good.
No, you're okay.
But anyway, Chris has helped in a few things. I was very upset when, Phil Wagner was shot of the ring on the range. My niece's coworker. I questioned why we were on flags, not the cat, because of it. She had taken care of that day. This was a Saturday. I appreciate that. I do not appreciate how people are acting in the Facebook inbox. I hope that we fix this and move on with everybody together. I also would like to know, I know in the beginning, you said that there were positions open. I would be interested in knowing what I have to do to be on here. That's all I'm saying.
Go ahead.
Hi, Kathy Sheridan, 169 Admiral Drive, Ohio. So the thing with the $2,000 donation from chair, I reached out to Chris. I have 5 chairs I was going to donate, but I can't remember, I have to look on our text message for it. I had to go through some other person to get okay. This is the police and fire department. They put their life on the line. My son was a police officer. And God help him, East Cleveland. I just can't believe that I'm being stopped. They're in my garage. I was gonna have somebody to truck. 3 of them. Why can't they just take a good chairs for these guys to sit on? I'm looking at you.
At the time, there was no ask for chairs. That post was made preemptively or without the chief's knowledge. The chief addressed it. So that's where we're at.
So I gotta go to the chief.
If the chief wants chairs, they'll ask for chairs. Sorry.
But the guy wants, I have 5 as well.
Is there anyone else who would like to address council? Seeing none, we'll move on to legislation proposed. Will the clerk please read legislation 022401?
In order to reappropriate to the expenses of the city of East Lake, state of Ohio, for the period beginning January 1st, 2026, and ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
This will be on first reading. Will the clerk please read legislation 022402?
An ordinance amending section 939.26, small b 3, sewer service charges of the codified ordinances of the city of East Lake, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rule requiring separate reading and reading in full? Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Overstreet?
Yes.
Mr. Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Katsounis?
Yes.
Ms. Craniac?
No.
Ms. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Sonic?
Yes. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
Is there a second? Second. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Overstreet?
Yes.
Mr. Belli?
Yes.
Mr. Katsounis?
Yes.
Ms. Craniac?
No.
Ms. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Sonic?
Yes. Motion legislation number 022403.
A resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and director of finance to accept a fire department training grant from the Ohio Division of State Fire Marshal for a total of $600 and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to suspend the rule requiring separate readings and reading in full? Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Overstreet? Yes. Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Mr. Katsounis?
Yes.
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Mrs. Stelman? Yes. Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Senick?
Yes. Is there a motion to adopt? Is there a second?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Overstreet? Yes. Ms. Kraniak?
Yes.
Mr. Katsounis?
Yes.
Mr. Gully?
Yes.
Mrs. Stelman?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Senick?
Yes. Motion carries, legislation is adopted. We have no unfinished business, there is no new business. We'll move on to administrative reports, starting with our mayor and deputy director, Mr. Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome all the residents. Just briefly, as mentioned earlier in the finance committee meeting, the finance director, myself, and the police chief, fire chief, and all directors have been extremely busy this past couple of weeks going over the final budget, which was presented to you tonight for the first time. Also, I'd like to make a comment about, first of all, to thank Chief Kovacic for going above and beyond as we had our potential for a major flood situation over the past week. So I got to spend approximately 36 hours with the chief, which was fun. But we were very fortunate. We monitored the river constantly. We were very fortunate. The issue this time happened to be that the mouth of the river was frozen. And when that happens, each flooding incident is a little bit different. And it kind of has to be monitored on a flood-by-flood basis. But this particular one, our issue was that the ice and water could not get out because the mouth was frozen. We were very fortunate that everything melted. We had some good weather. We didn't have any big rains. We did send out the initial reverse 911 call, which is just to let folks know that the potential is there. We did not have to do the second 911 call, reverse 911, which is basically evacuate. So we didn't get to that point, but it was touch and go for a little while there. So I'm very thankful and happy to report that that did not happen. At the same time, the mouth of the river is open, but the ice on the lake is right up to the mouth. So we're not quite out of the woods yet, but hopefully things continue to improve and go in the right direction. And that concludes my report, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to our fire chief, Chief Kovacic.
Thank you, Council President. I appreciate you accepting grant from the State Marshal's Office and also Council's consideration for a budgetary request and capital items. That'll be open for any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Fire Chief? Seeing none, we'll move on to Police Chief, Chief Warner.
Thanks, Mr. President. Excuse me. We had two lateral officers start yesterday. So that has finally brought our department up to our budgeted amount of 29 officers total throughout the department. Just to give you guys a little bit of perspective with the numbers. In 1995, when I was hired, we had 30 officers. In 2004, we were up to 38. In 2011, we were down to 22.
when I took over, this part of a year and a half ago, we were sitting at 24. We've hired 9 since January 25 and lost 4 within that period. So we're doing much better than we have been for the past 15 years. I'd still like to see us continue to grow a little bit in the coming years, but that's where we're at on that place. And I appreciate everybody's consideration that have helped make that happen over here. And with that, questions?
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Seeing none, we'll move on to our Chief Building Official, David Mann. Thank you, Mr. Mann. Any questions for Mr. Mann? We'll move on to our Service Director, Nick Rubertino.
Good evening, everybody. Nothing is ready to say today.
Any questions for our Service Director? Thank you, Mr. Rubertino. We'll move on to our City Engineer, Brian Welch.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. I had a meeting with ODOT last week regarding the Route 91 project. These are set to be delivered mid-March, and therefore we're going to need nightly shutdowns for approximately 2 weeks while they get those beams set. There will be additional information forthcoming once we have exact dates, but it'll be night closures from 8 p.m. until about 5 or 6 a.m. Both directions of traffic will be shut down just for safety purposes for loading. Emergency vehicles have already relayed this message to both chiefs that emergency service vehicles will be allowed through the zone at that time. With that, I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Burley. Any questions for our City Engineer? Seeing none, move on to our Finance Director, Caroline Schindel. Okay. And finally, we'll move on to our Law Director, Mr. Clammer.
Mr. President, I think we're set enough today, so we're going to get
Any
any questions.
questions for Mr. Clammer? Seeing none, this regular council meeting is adjourned at 8:03 p.m.
John, sorry.